Pump Overview. GIW LCC rubber-lined and hard metal series pumps are interchangeable and remarkably easy to install and maintain. They consist of three major sub-assemblies: the wet end assembly, the shaft seal assembly, and the mechanical assembly. The mechanical assembly of the LCC pump is composed of the pedestal frame, which supports all other parts of the pump, and the bearing assembly with the shaft. The shaft seal assembly could be a stuffing box assembly, a single or double mechanical seal, or an expeller. The wet end section includes the parts of the pump that come into contact with the slurry and consist of the suction plate liner, the impeller, and the shell. The rubber-lined split case series wet end assembly consists of the hub and suction side casings, hub and suction casing liners, and suction liner. A nomenclature sheet pointing out the various pump parts and design features is included in the maintenance manual for easy reference. When ordering GIW pump parts, please use the proper pump nomenclature and also include the complete part number. Pump drive. Once the pump is placed on the foundation, but before the drive and piping are connected, verify that the motor rotates in the correct direction. To verify this, switch the motor on with the drive component disconnected. The direction of rotation must correspond to the direction indicated by the arrow on hub side of the pump shell. Once the rotation is correct, connect the piping and drive equipment. If the impeller rotates in the wrong direction, even momentarily, it may unscrew and severely damage the unit. If a variable frequency drive or other controller is used, it is recommended to permanently disable reverse and brake function during controller setup. Under no circumstance should the pipe system be equipped with a check valve or other device that can rapidly decelerate the flow rate. Mechanical assembly maintenance. The rolling element bearings of LCC slurry pumps are lubricated with either grease or oil, and they must be re-lubricated on a regular basis to ensure maximum performance. Lubricant change intervals, as well as required quantity and quality of lubricants, are specified in the LCC maintenance manual. Grease-lubricated bearings are packed with high-quality lithium-based grease, which should be replenished every 1,500 hours by an injection roughly equal to 1/2 of the amount originally used to pack the bearings. If excessive wear or dirt is expelled from the seal during purge, or similar contamination found in the housing during inspection, the pump needs more frequent purging or an automatic delivery device for lubrication. Use high-quality lithium soap grease free of resin and acid, not liable to crumble, and with good rust preventative characteristics. See the LCC Maintenance Manual for detailed requirements. If your pump has oil-lubricated bearings, you should perform the first oil change after 300 operating hours, then every 3,000 hours thereafter. To change the oil, remove the threaded plug below the oil level sight glass and drain the used oil. Once the reservoir is drained, reinstall the plug and fill with fresh oil as described in your LCC maintenance manual. Stuffing box maintenance. The shaft sleeve on your LCC pump is layered with a fused carbide coating for extended wear life. The sleeve slip fits onto the shaft and is held in place between the shoulder of the shaft and the hub face of the impeller. Surrounding the shaft sleeve is the stuffing box assembly, which is attached to the pedestal and provides a seal between the wet end and the rotating shaft mechanical end of the pump. The stuffing box has 3 or 4 rings of packing, which create a seal where the shaft enters the shell. This seal prevents slurry from leaking back along the shaft. The packing should be changed each time the stuffing box begins to leak excessively or during a major overhaul of your pump. To change the packing, lock out the pump drive and turn the seal water off. Loosen the nuts on the packing gland, then pull the gland back. Remove the old packing by using a packing puller to remove each packing ring individually. Between the 3rd and 4th packing rings, you will find the lantern ring, which should also be removed. Make sure the replacement packing is clean, dry, and cut on an angle. To ensure proper maintenance of the stuffing box, we recommend the use of GIW packing. It is pre-cut to the correct length, sealed, and protected during shipment. Replace the packing and the lantern ring in reverse order, making sure to stagger the joints so that they are not in alignment. After repacking, hand tighten the nuts on the packing gland. The stuffing box is equipped with tapped holes for sealing water. To keep the stuffing box free of abrasive particles, the sealing water pressure and gland tightness should be adjusted to maintain a small flow of cool or lukewarm leakage out of the stuffing box. If the leakage becomes hot, the gland should be loosened to allow greater flow. If the leakage becomes cloudy or you experience low packing life, increase the water pressure. The sealing water pressure required to maintain satisfactory stuffing box operation depends on pump operating pressure, slurry properties, condition of the packing, clarity of the seal water, and the type of stuffing box. In general, a supply pressure of 10 to 15 psi over the discharge pressure of the pump should be available. This can then be adjusted with a valve to lower pressure as needed in actual operation. The seal water requirements for the different size pumps are listed in the maintenance manual. Wet end maintenance. For effective operation of your LCC pump, a minimum clearance must be maintained between the impeller and suction plate liner. This is adjusted by axial movement of the bearing assembly to which the impeller is fixed. Before adjusting the impeller, make sure the pump wet end is completely assembled. The stuffing box, however, may be packed before or after the adjustment. If the pump is equipped with a mechanical seal, consult the mechanical seal manual for axial alignment requirements. To adjust the clearance, loosen the bearing housing hold-down bolts and turn the adjusting screw beneath the bearing housing until the impeller touches the plate liner. Then, using the same screw, back it off to the proper adjustment. This measurement can be taken using a dial indicator or match marks on the pump. Make sure the shaft rotates freely through one full turn, then measure the clearance at the 12, 3, 6, and 9 o'clock positions. If it is uneven, check the shell to see that it is properly seated. Adjust if necessary. If the clearance remains uneven, check the shell, bearing housing, plate liner, and shaft for proper alignment. Once aligned, fully tighten all 4 bolts to the required torque listed in the LCC maintenance manual. Failure to tighten the hold-down bolts properly can result in severe vibration and damage to all pump components. Maximizing wet end wear life. Since the wet end parts, which include the plate liner, impeller, and shell, come into contact with the slurry, they are subject to wear and will need to be replaced periodically. Generally speaking, the plate liner will need replacement first, then the impeller, then the shell. In addition, the O-rings and gaskets must be replaced whenever the wet end parts are replaced. However, GIW recommends that the pump not be opened until it begins to leak excessively or fails to deliver the required head. If the pump is operating properly, visual inspections are sufficient. Never repair an impeller by welding or heat a mounted impeller. Heating the sealed cavity at the impeller breast could cause an explosion. Initial and periodic adjustment of the nose clearance between the impeller and the suction plate liner is critical for maximizing wear life. The suction plate liner life can also be extended by rotating it halfway through its expected life. Establish a base life for the first suction plate liner by allowing it to hold through. The second suction plate liner should then be rotated 180 degrees at the expected half-life. A new gasket or O-ring should be used when a new plate liner or shell is installed. If you have a standby pump, it is best to operate a pump until the shell develops a hole and leaks. If wear is uniform, the shell should be discarded. Notify your GIW representative of localized or gouging wear patterns and provide operating conditions to determine if some adjustments could give more uniform wear. Wet end part replacement. During normal operation, the impeller becomes tightly screwed onto the shaft by the running torque. A mild yet sudden jolt is usually required to disengage the impeller. Although there are several ways to do this, the safest method is to use an impeller break-loose jig available from your GIW representative. To remove the impeller, rotate it until the tip of one blade faces the pump discharge. Lock the impeller by inserting the break-loose jig onto the end of the impeller vane. Rotate the shaft in the direction opposite to normal using a GIW shaft spanner wrench. Several sharp blows should free the impeller. Once it is free, remove the break-loose jig. With the impeller loose, it can be removed with a GIW impeller lifting jig. Before installing the new impeller, replace the 2 gaskets between the impeller hub and shaft sleeve and coat the shaft threads with anti-seize compound, leaving the gaskets and shaft sleeve faces dry. This will ensure ease of impeller removal and prevent thread galling. If the shell needs replacement, support the shell with 2 or more lifting points, unbolt and remove it. To reassemble, replace the shell, impeller, and plate liner, making sure to tighten all screws and bolts to the required torques specified in your maintenance manual. Be sure the shell is fully seated in the rabbet fit of the pedestal and that all gasket material is replaced. For more information on wet end part replacement or for general pump assembly and disassembly instructions, refer to your LCC maintenance manual.